Hi, I'm Bruce Mannion. I'm 59 years of age. I live here in Victoria. We're in a beautiful park here in Mordialloc. That's where I live, just across the road. But I obviously have scleroderma. I'm one of those people that from the outside you can't see much, other than I'm a middle-aged fat man. But other than that, most of my problem is internal, lungs. Okay, scleroderma for me, I mean, like everyone, everyone's got different variations to it. For me, I've got lots of things going on. I've got Barrett's esophagus, I've got Raynaud's, I've got telangiectasia, however you say it. But my main problem is my lungs, so I've got interstitial lung disease. So basically the lining around my lungs and around the alveoli are being attacked by my body, because as we know it's an autoimmune disease. So that's my main problem, is trying to get oxygen out to my organs, my muscles, etc., and then getting carbon dioxide, back out. So at the moment I'm at about 32%, and normal is 98 to 100. So that's my problem. Okay, well, I was diagnosed mine's a bit of a convoluted story. I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis in 2011. Now, sarcoidosis is an autoimmune disease, but unlike scleroderma, it comes and it goes. No one knows how or why, and for me, I had swollen lymph glands in my lungs. Anyway, 2014, about September 2014, got really sick, really sick. And so obvious, off to the doctors, etc. Like most, it's a long story, but after lots of tests, lung specialists, rheumatoid doctors, etc., they came up with the diagnosis with my lungs, and it was related to scleroderma. So my diagnosis, I suppose, when I was actually told that I had scleroderma, would have been about mid 2015. In 2011, I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called sarcoidosis, which it comes and it goes, but that no one knows how it comes, when it comes, no one knows when it will go. So all the lymph glands in my lungs were swollen. Anyway, they just managed that without any real intense medication. Then about September 2014, I got really crook. All of a sudden, very sick. Anyway, off to the doctors, and then from the GP, off to the lung specialist, off to the endocrinologist, off to the rheumy doctor, etc. Anyway, after lots of tests, lots of MRIs, CAT scans, whatever, about mid 2015, they diagnosed that I had scleroderma, and my main thing with that scleroderma is the interstitial lung disease. But it took a while to get diagnosed. But about mid 2015 is when I definitely knew that I had scleroderma. Well, I suppose for my quality of life, there's not much they can do. Everyone, or a lot that have scleroderma, can relate to that. Obviously, we have the medical and we have the medication interventions. But for me, I think I would like to have somewhere where I could go. Like I've just done some lung rehab. I would like somewhere where I could go, where I could exercise and be supervised and be amongst like people. I think it would be great if I could go somewhere to be medically checked now. That is the one place, right? All the doctors are there, right? Because at the moment, like most, I'm all over Melbourne going to whatever specialist I have to go and see. So it's really, for me, having supervised exercise would be great, just to, because we all get into a bit of a lazy, vicious cycle, and to be able to go to the one medical facility. Someone who's been diagnosed with scleroderma for the first time, I would say don't panic. right? We all do it. We all look up Dr. Google. Dr. Google asks us why we're not already past, right? So, and we all know you're going to go and look up Dr. Google, but just ignore it. Don't panic. Let the doctors do their jobs, and then just go along for the ride until they diagnose you, and then go with your doctors and then map out a plan of how you're going to manage it. That's really vital. And by that I mean, if you're in a relationship, 2 of you have scleroderma. Not just you and your partner have scleroderma. If you have kids, your kids have scleroderma, right? Obviously they don't actually have it, but because you're their mother or their father, then they have it. So especially in your relationships, work out a plan, then your daily life, and then even if you still have to work, your work life. But the main thing I would say to someone who first gets scleroderma, don't panic, because most of us do. That's the blunt truth. But just, as I said, go with the flow a little bit, but once let the doctors do their job, and then really work out a life plan. Scleroderma hasn't really affected my relationships, really. My daughter understands it. She understands there's not much she can do other than, you know, the love and support. Most of my family is in Perth, so they sort of don't come into contact with it and see it on a day-by-day or a week-by-week basis. They know that I'm ill. They know that my illness is getting worse. I see them about once or twice a year, so, you know, they sort of do what they can from Perth, but friendships and all that are the same. I suppose I'm lucky because I have friends that, you know, don't care, meaning they do, but, you know, they know that, well, you know, walking on eggshells around me is not going to help. Just be normal, right? If I'm in strife, if I'm tired, if I'm this, if I'm that, they know. Being a tourist, I will tell them. All right, well, I suppose for scleroderma, the stats say that my life expectancy is going to be shortened, sort of somewhat. And with my lung condition, that's true. I mean, that's just the way it is. For me, I've come to terms with that. I'm sure when my time comes, I won't be so brave, but I'm pretty well, you know, it all comes to an end for all of us. It's just a matter of when. Mine's just going to be a bit shorter than what it normally would be. But, you know, what upsets me, I suppose, more than anything is I have a daughter and she's, you know, 20 years of age. And I won't walk her down the aisle. As simple as that. I won't see my grandkids. I won't hold them. I won't say hello. They're the things that get me. And that's the same for a lot of people that have scleroderma, right? It's what happens when I'm not here. That's blunt, but it's a fact. And they're the things that I really struggle with. Not the passing away bit. That's coming. It's inevitable. It's just what I'm not going to. I brought a daughter into this world along with my wife, but I'm not going to. I suppose it's terribly old-fashioned these days, but the fact is I'm not going to walk it down the aisle. The chances are. And as said, I just can't, you know, I can't take my grandchild or my grandkids down to the shop and shh, don't tell mum and dad, and spoil them, right? And they're the little things, and I think that's what a lot of people that have got scleroderma can sort of, you know, relate to. And that's one of, you know, and that's why, apart from the disease itself, that's one of the insidious parts about it.